After spending most of our day finishing up our visit in Kyoto, we're heading off to Hiroshima. Our hotel is nicer than we expected, actually connected to the railroad station. And since our room is on the 19th floor, we have a nice view of the city. We spent the evening in the Hachoburi area, basically a large covered mall. We did visit another Don Quixote. Replacing our sake, we inadvertently left in the refrigerator at our previous hotel. We start today by visiting the A-Bomb Dome, which are the ruins of the Hiroshima Prefecture Industrial Promotional Hall, which was destroyed on August 6, 1945, by the first attack using an atomic bomb. The preserved remains of the building are now part of the Peace Memorial Park and Museum. This is the Children's Peace Monument. This monument stands in the memory of all the children who died as a result of the atomic bombing. It was originally inspired by the death of Sadako Asaki, who was exposed to radiation from the bomb at the age of 2 and died 10 years later of leukemia. This is the Pond of Peace, and at its end burns the flame of peace. Once in the museum, the tour begins with a walk along a panoramic wall, which shows what Hiroshima looked like before the bombing. And then you walk by a second wall, showing the aftermath. This is a representation of the bomb, exploding 600 meters above the city, turning everything in a 2-kilometer radius into ashes, and claiming the lives of over 200,000 people. After leaving the memorial, we take the short train ride to the Miyajima ferry, which we will take to the Shukkei-en Island, more commonly referred to as Miyajima, Japanese for Shrine Island. On our way there, we get some great views of the Tsukushima Shrine's floating torii gate.
The Great Torii Shrine Gate, which is considered to be one of the 3 most scenic views in Japan, and the symbol of Miyajima. The Great Torii stands about 16 meters high.
After disembarking from the ferry, we're greeted with a number of friendly deer, though not as many as there were in Nara. Nearby is the Yomoto Sando shopping street, packed with many different shops and unique food items, many of which we couldn't pass up giving them a try. This machine is making a pastry called momiji manju, and is a specialty of the island. It's a slightly sweet, fluffy bun, filled with bean jam, and shaped like a maple leaf. Which one? Leaving the shopping district, we pass under the torii gate as we enter the Tsukushima Shrine. The main shrine is dedicated to 3 female deities, the goddess of the sea, the goddess of transportation, and the goddess of fortune and the arts. While walking along the beach, you're treated to some wonderful views of the Grand Torii Gate. This current torii gate was constructed in 1875, and it's the 8th time it's been rebuilt, with a complete 3-year renovation finishing up in November of 2022. A little further down, we pass the Tsukishima Shrine's 5-story pagoda that rises over 27 meters, about 90 feet, and is dedicated to the Buddhist god of medicine. We're heading up to the base of the holy Mount Mizan to visit the Daishoin Buddhist Temple, a temple based on the Shingon sect of Buddhism. We first enter through the Nyoman, the gate to the temple, guarded by the warriors called Neo, the guardian kings. Just past the Nyoman gate is the spiritual staircase. Down the middle of the staircase are spinning cylinders, inscribed with 600 volumes of Buddhist scriptures. It is said by spinning the cylinders, you'll receive blessings. Just below the staircase are 500 small statues, each one uniquely carved with its own facial expressions. We'll be walking through them on the way back down. This is the island's bell, dating back over 500 years, and used to be the island's timepiece, rung 3 times a day. A short time after we got there, they started playing a drum from one of the prayer halls. On our way down, we walk through a path lined with 500 statues. These represent the first 500 disciplines of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni. The statues are called Jizos. They are protectors of travelers, but also of children who have died young or in childbirth. Jizo guards escort the souls of these children into the afterlife, protecting them from harm that might befall them along the way. Unique here on Miyajima is the practice of knitting woolen hats and scarves for the statues. A possible origin for the practice comes from a Japanese children's story. The story tells of a kind elderly couple who made hats to sell, and place on some of the Jizo statues in their neighborhood to keep them warm. To repay their kindness, the statues come to life, providing the couple with food. As we walk back to town, we pass over the Momiji Bridge and take a quick look at the koi pond on its other side. Now being at low tide, it gave the opportunity for people to walk out to the Grand Torii Gate. Wanting to try Hiroshima-style okonomiyaki for dinner, Google Maps sends us to the full focus building around the corner from the hotel. Not knowing what to expect, we take the elevator to the 6th floor. It seems like we're transported to a totally different place. There were just lines of counters filled with people with hot grills in front of them, all apparently serving up okonomiyaki. Being around 7 o'clock, we were lucky to find a place that would still serve us, but we finally settled in and placed an order. It first looked like too much food, but we both scarfed our delicious meal down right away. This morning we're visiting Hiroshima Castle, but first a quick word about breakfast. Being a higher class hotel, it was one of the better breakfasts of the trip. A unique novelty was this automated busboy. It followed a preset path, but you can interrupt it by touching its screen or calling its name Bell, which I tried a number of times without any luck. With our train scheduled to leave at noon, we arrived at the castle just as it opened at 9 o'clock. The grounds weren't that interesting, but the view of the castle tower raised our expectations. As with a lot of the city, the original Hiroshima Castle was destroyed by the atomic bomb in 1945. It wasn't until 1958 that it was rebuilt using reinforced concrete. Once you entered, you followed a predetermined path that wound you around the different floors. This presentation showed how the high-quality swords were made, starting off with a chunk of raw steel. Here you could actually pick one up, feeling the weight and the balance of the sword. The displays were interesting, but it didn't take much time to get through them. Once we arrived at the top of the main keep, we were treated to wonderful views of the city. While leaving the castle grounds, we make a quick stop at the Gokoku Shrine. Leaving the castle after about an hour, it left us enough time to visit the Shukkei-en Gardens. These gardens date back to the 1620s, and was a relaxing way to spend the rest of the morning. That afternoon, we're on the train heading back east, with an overnight stay in the small city of Kurashiki. After arriving, we walked down to the Beacon Historic Quarter, hoping to snatch a ticket for one of the boat rides tomorrow morning. But even with a day's notice, there were none available. But after seeing the length of the ride, it seemed like we could enjoy the area just by walking the canal. Stumbling across the Karabo Memorial Hall and Museum, we decided to go in for a visit. We found out that Kurashiki is known for its textiles, particularly cotton, and the cotton industry here dates back to 1888, making Kurashiki known as the jean capital of Japan. We also stumbled across this chalk art exhibit, which we were later reprimanded for taking pictures of. Overall, our feelings about Kurashiki is that it probably would have been better to go straight to Osaka, our next destination.